Chromebooks are typically cheap and not much more powerful than smartphones, but they have a flagship, the Chromebook Pixel, made by Google itself. 2 years after the first Pixel came out, Google now has a new version, the Chromebook Pixel 2. The new Pixel is virtually the same design as the last one. It's not particularly small and thin, but it's not meant to be. The Chromebook Pixel 2 is one of the first computers to sport the new USB Type-C port, the connector that does it all. It connects to USB devices, external displays, and even provides power. Yep, this is the same port that Apple put on its new MacBook, but the Pixel does one better by including two of them, one on each side. If you ever thought your laptop's charging port was on the wrong side, you won't have that problem with this machine. Virtually all of Mashable's tools are web-based, so I decided to stress test the Pixel 2 by using it to power a typical workday. Right off the bat, I could feel the power of this machine, a laptop that not only has a state-of-the-art chip, but also doesn't have the burden of running all sorts of apps, and it starts up and shuts down in the blink of an eye. Web pages loaded noticeably faster than on my year-old MacBook. It wasn't all smooth sailing, however. Just because something works in the Chrome browser doesn't necessarily mean it works flawlessly in Chrome OS. And why are there fewer features in the Google Photos Chrome app than in the browser version? Speaking of apps, Chromebooks supposedly make up the Chrome OS app gap by being able to run some Android apps, but don't get too excited. The Android version of Evernote, for instance, is a travesty. You're better off just using it in the browser. But using Vine on a Chromebook is actually kind of fun. Even with the speed bumps, the Chromebook Pixel 2 is a joy to use. The 12.9-inch display is a touchscreen, and it's also super sharp with 2560 by 1700 resolution. And it's really bright too. It's powered by an Intel Core i5 processor, a rocket engine by Chromebook standards, and includes 8 GB of RAM and 32 gigs of storage. That's plenty for Chrome OS. But if you really want the biggest Chromebook on the block, Google actually makes a Chromebook Pixel 2 LS version. The LS stands for ludicrous speed, which includes an Intel Core i7 processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and 64 gigs of storage. The bad news, this thing costs $1,000, and that's for the standard version. Taking things up to ludicrous speed will set you back $1,300. If your life's in the cloud anyway, especially the Google Cloud, the Chromebook Pixel 2 will perform admirably for 95% of what you want. Just maybe keep a cheap Windows PC around for the other 5%.